This week on Reliving the Extreme, we are discussing the episode of ECW from March 28th, 1995. Nate Maxson, your host, here with you, along with my brother Aaron.
Hello, everybody.
And Mr. Chad Austin. Mr. Chad Lotto Machine Austin.
Yes, right. Mega Millions, Austin over here. Oh, if I was using my other ring name, which when it was Chad Bowman, I could be Mega Billions Bowman.
Mega Billions Bowman. It just rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, that's what I do. I create stars. Everybody I lose to goes on to be a big star. It's got to be me.
Well, a lot happening in wrestling this week as far as the whole Vince McMahon thing and all that. But we are going to be talking about something from a little under 30 years ago, and it is ECW. But unless you guys have anything you want to talk about before we start the show, I have a couple of questions from a couple of listeners. I think one is addressed directly to Chad. The other one isn't addressed directly to anybody, but I'm thinking it's pointed at Aaron.
Well, how do you want to book this show? Is this the show that we're going to review good enough that we're going to get an hour out of it, or are we going to need some help from our listeners?
Yeah, we're going to use some help from our listeners. Seeing as Aaron revealed before we recorded that he hasn't even seen this episode, so we're gonna help him through this.
That's tremendous. You had a whole week.
I thought I watched it, but whatever.
Well, the first question I have here.
You thought you watched it, but it was a recap.
Yeah, it was a recap of a recap.
I probably did watch.
They all are. Why didn't you just bring last week's note? And then once we got to the matches that weren't on the old one, you knew what happened. Dreamer Stetson, come on. Would you be shocked if I said you wouldn't believe what happened in the Stetson Dreamer match? Stetson won over.
Bet Aaron could tell you what happened without even seeing it.
Yeah. So why waste the ink?
The first question that we have here is from a listener named Bill. Bill has a question for Chad. He says, Chad, on the show you talk a lot about Continental as a great territory. As someone who has never seen it, what was so special about Continental?
This is Bill, and where is Bill from?
It's Bill's from Ohio. Me and Aaron's stomping grounds.
Well, did you guys get Continental?
No. Any Continental
not even the Continental.
No, any Continental that I've ever seen in my life, I saw like within the past 6-7 years watching it.
Oof, man, you stink. Man. No, the beauty of Continental, it was just like Georgia because they ran the same towns, the same key towns every week.
Mm-hmm.
And so you know how Memphis, they always have to keep the angles hot. They always have to keep you have to bring them back Monday night.
Right.
You ain't got to bring them back Monday night in 90 days, or 60 days or whatever. You got to bring them back Monday night. So it was always a lot of quote unquote fuck finishes, wild brawls, like that kind of stuff. And that kind of stuff, whether or not you believe it or not, is the easiest stuff to do. You could do it. Look at Abdullah the Butcher. He just turned 82. He literally just turned 82, and I bet you he worked Wednesday.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Somewhere. There's no doubt that, if you when's the last, Abby, you could probably count. I bet you Abby's taken less than 100 bumps in his entire career.
Mm-hmm.
And
walk and brawl.
Yeah. And 77 of them bumps are against Brody, and maybe 14 are against Blackwell.
I was going to say maybe he took a couple from Baba.
Well, yeah. No, I don't. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. The rest of them you can just scatter up amongst them, Harley Racer or whatever. Some people like that. But yeah, the main guys, Brody, did it all the time. 82. What's the matter with him? Working on Wednesday. That's the best. I bet you he would.
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't.
What do you think the chances are?
He wouldn't have to do anything.
He's never done anything.
Right, exactly.
So, it would be earth-shattering to him.
So essentially, the gist of what you're saying is Continental was great because it was exciting. It was, and like I said, from what I've seen, yeah, it was fast. Things move fast and lots of angles.
Another thing that I liked about it, Aaron, was that it had a lot of family tradition, and a lot of the angles were family related. I mean, because during the always through the whole entire run of the whole entire promotion was was the Fullers and the Armstrongs.
Yeah.
That was the whole entire that feud was the beginning of it was going on before it had turned into South. It was when it was Southeastern before it even turned into Continental. Like that was the feud, was the Armstrongs and the Fullers. And then the Fullers took on the oh my God, he's my boy, Bunkhouse Buck.
Jimmy Golden.
Jimmy Golden. Yeah, then he took on Jimmy Golden because he was a cousin, of course. I mean, if you can't make them direct, you're a cousin. And it was just the best. It was the best stuff because, like I said, they had to go to the same towns like Memphis had to, but the presentation to me was a lot more sports / kind of gory oriented than Memphis. Memphis had its hokiness, and you can just see through all that. But Southeastern, man, that shit was popping when I got my peeps on that, as the kids say. Man, I said, what the hell is going on? Mongolian Stomper? Are you kidding me? The bloodbaths with Bob Armstrong and stuff. I was like, man, where the hell was this all my life? All I've been watching was Santos Gold videos.
And you can definitely see, and I know, obviously with Bob Armstrong being there and Jimmy Golden being there and Robert Fuller, you can see the influence of Continental on when you watch Smoky Mountain Wrestling as well.
Oh well, there's no doubt in my mind that Jim Cornette if you asked him, if you had the opportunity to ask him, how much of that booking was Fuller, inspired, and
right.
He would have to tell you it's East Tennessee to begin with, it's all East Tennessee because they started in East Tennessee and then moved down there because when they got word about how good I forgot who the guy was it Roy Lee Welch that was running Pensacola. And stuff like that. He was telling them how great the weather was, and and how easy the towns were, and all. And like everybody was like fighting each other to go down there. Everybody wanted to go down there. And then when the Fullers and then the Armstrongs got down there, it was like, this is our territory, because they had already owned Georgia, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if not technically owned it, but I'm sure they had a piece of office,
yeah,
which would be the Birmingham.
That's what I was going to say. They definitely had a piece, the Alabama area.
Right. It would be the Birmingham office. And so, yeah, so it was awesome, man. I mean, you guys got to spend some time one time, when you get a weekend break or whatever, and go back and watch like the Austin Idol with the sheep herders and all that stuff. It's ridiculous. And you're like, this is like this shit went on in pro wrestling. It's like the greatest stuff that nobody really saw.
And it's also a lot of people might not know this either. There's really good Gordon Soley stuff in there too, and he was calling it. And then later on, you get into at the end where Eddie Gilbert is the booker.
Continental?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're right. It was towards that. I'm thinking Charlie Platt. You're thinking Gordon Soley's Charlie Platt. No, you're right. When Gordon Soley took over, when they started running TVs from Birmingham.
Yes, that's a lot. Okay. A lot of I've seen a lot of that because there's a guy that has a bunch of that, like almost that whole run. So I've kind of binge watched that. So,
dude, who's the guy who said that? I don't know if it was Meltzer or somebody may have reported to Meltzer that they thought that or they knew that Gordon Soley had a bottle of scotch underneath the podium, and they said if you look, there was some kind of telltale. I can't remember what it was, but it was some kind of telltale when they came back from breaks. You can know when Gordon Soley was taking a hit of the gimmick, and I can't remember what it is, but I totally believe it.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me at all. Who is it, Aaron? I think isn't it? Is it Mike Tenay that was calling stuff with Gordon when he was getting ready to leave WCW, and Gordon would just like blatantly just have a liquor bottle right at the table or whatever? I think it's Tony. Mike Tenay. Was it Tony? Okay.
Yeah, and Jim Ross talks about how during those WCW massive tapings, there was like 5-6 hours of shit that Jim Ross had to keep him loaded. He was
he had to keep him loaded.
Yeah, because Gordon Soley would have been just said, "Fuck it, I'm not watching this boring ass shit."
I don't give a shit how much of a fall down lazy scoundrel and drunk that Gordon Soley was. I can tell you this right here on the public, if you will. I had a match called by Gordon Soley, so go fuck yourself.
What match was that?
It was me against Vader.
Oh,
WCW.
okay.
Yeah, I'll go to my grave saying I don't give a shit what y'all say about me. You can hate me at Walmart all you want, motherfucker. Gordon Soley called one of my shit. Gordon Soley is the best. And there's no doubt he was drunk. Why wouldn't he be? He's flip-flopping between Georgia and Florida. You know what I mean? Like, who has that kind of life besides Jimmy Buffett? He's Gordon Buffett over it.
Well, I think the next.
go
ahead, Chad.
You know how there's a picture of like President Kennedy with like Mr. Wrestling #2 or whatever.
Yeah,
it's gotta be a picture of him with Jimmy Buffett. That's the pièce de resistance.
I think the next. I'm guessing the next question. It doesn't have a particular person addressed, but based on commentary that is made by my brother here on this show, I'm assuming this listener Ryan is posing this question to Aaron.
It's gonna be antagonistic, isn't it?
Maybe a little.
Fucking okay.
Ryan asks, why all the hate for Public Enemy? They were over as hell and helped ECW get off the ground as a company.
Well, Ryan, that's his name, right?
Yes, and don't lose us a listener.
No, I mean, Ryan, instead of just listening to us talk about the shows, if you want to find out why all the hate for Public Enemy, watch the shows that we're talking about. And it'll be self-explanatory. They suck.
No, hey, easy. It's not that we hate. Well, yeah, I guess you're right. But it's not that we hate Public Enemy per se. We just think everything is like miscast and mistyped. I mean, could we not agree, Aaron, that if it was somebody else doing it?
Yeah,
it would be better, and we would.
And
it could be. The angle is not bad, right? The angle itself is not bad.
No, it's just the guys doing it aren't the guys that should be. And like you said, maybe not so, like Rocco Rock. I don't hate Rocco Rock. Like I don't hate Ted Petty. I just hate Ted Petty as Rocco Rock. If that makes
of course, yeah.
That dude.
I hated Ted Petty as Cheetah Kid.
That dude started working in 1979, and in 1995 he's supposed to be some kind of hoodie. Like what the fuck? Now Johnny Grunge, on the other hand, yeah, he's whatever. But
he never grew out of that stage.
But just for me to play antagonist, does not Ryan have a point that regardless of what we think of the act overall, it was over with the ECW crowd. It did put asses in seats.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, my name wasn't in question on this. I said Public Enemy was over from the beginning, and they should have been over, and they were over, and however they got over, they stayed over, and that's a whole entire different show. We can do that on one of your other platforms, do a whole breakdown of how the fuck did Public Enemy get over. But they did. That's all that mattered, man.
And it they got over, and they were over until other people started showing up. You know what I mean? And then it got tired and it got stale, and they left. When they left, guess what? Everywhere else they ever went, did they do a goddamn thing? No.
Oh, fuck no.
And when they came back, nobody wanted them when they came back. You know what I mean? They come back in 98, and they're there for like a minute, and they got to get back out of there because the people didn't want them there. The locker room didn't want them there.
I think most of the problem was because theoretically or whatever, they had already beaten everybody, and then when they had that stupid little attitude gimmick where they went to the WWE, you know what I mean? And then they all got beat up by like the Hair Scissor, whoever the fuck beat them up and all. And then they went to WCW, the Nasty Boys beat them up. I think it was all just jealousy. And I mean, unless Petty and Grunge really did something kind of, douchey to them, which I never heard anything about. I'm thinking like, why would they do that? You know what I mean?
They did. What does it mean? They did piss off Ron Simmons and Bradshaw, and that's why Ron Simmons and Bradshaw had their way with them on. They were kind of big dogging when they went to the WWF locker room, and the APA wasn't having it.
And they shouldn't have been, because they came into WCW,
and they were essentially the Bushwhackers.
Yeah, well, I was just saying they came into WCW, and it was all right for a minute because like it was different and they were still doing the tables and people cared about it. But by 6 months in, like I was gonna say, that it became the fucking Bushwhackers, and not even good like the Bushwhackers. Just I don't know, and
Yeah, dude, it was I would love to have been sitting in the meeting room, whatever, when Public Enemy got signed or whatever. And you know how everybody's probably going to ask for like the push. Let's talk about the push kind of thing. I wonder how that was described to them, how that was going to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Bischoff was like, "Oh, you're pushed off a cliff. We're gonna push like you." I just that once they got out of that little environment, it was never gonna work, and they were over in that environment because Paul told those people that they were over, and basically, if Paul told them something, they just went with it, and that's just how I feel with it because like. Coming up, we're gonna go into that 3-way dance pay-per-view or whatever or super show, and Sabu doesn't show up, and that entire crowd just turns on Sabu. You know what I mean? Because Paulie came out there and told him to turn on Sabu.
Well, I don't think you're necessarily 100% correct on Paul just saying that. I think at this point the people in Philadelphia, I think the people took Public Enemy as their own. Like I think it was the crowd that made Paul like have to big time everything on Public Enemy. Yeah. I think Public Enemy was completely way over. Way more over than I thought they would have been. I'll tell you that, to be honest.
Yeah. And like I said, that's how I feel about it. And that'd be like me, like Ryan being like, I don't like pepperoni pizza. Then I'm like, hey Ryan, what's all the hate on pepperoni pizza? Like, well, I just don't like it. They're like, okay.
Oh, I'll
leave you alone.
Yeah, there's no hate. There's no hate, but I mean, even if I didn't like, I bet you while I was there, Rocco's like first match, I was in the crowd, and I bet you that I saw the potential there because I didn't know he was the Cheetah Kid. I think my buddy told me on the way home from the show that was the Cheetah Kid. And I'm like, the dude that worked he worked Liger, I think, or the Tiger Mask.
Tiger Mask, yeah.
Get the fuck out of here! You know what I mean? when I hear that about some fucking ham that I'm working with, that oh Johnny,
like yeah.
It's stupid.
It's obvious he was Colonel de Klerk, but Cheetah Kid.
Yeah, well, I didn't even know that then. I didn't even know that until many years later that he was the jabroni guy from the South Africa.
Yeah.
Stargate or whatever. Oof, that's got to go in the We Can't Wrestle Hall of Fame. One of the worst shows ever. Good Lord, is that a stinker?
So fucking boring.
Those 5-alarm fucking turd.
Those Russian guys that both look like Borat.
Yeah, they're all hairy and shit. And what they say the Malenkos were like from Yugoslavia or something.
Yugoslavia?
I think they said the Malenkos are from Yugoslavia. Then they had like this big like Zambui Express looking motherfuckers. Like, what the fuck is going on? Can you imagine you paid a ticket to go to Starcade or what? It was a Great American Bash.
It was Great American Bash.
But the worst part is how was the show advertised? It was advertised as a tournament or something, right?
Yes, the world's greatest world's international tag team tournament or whatever. It was all essentially a gimmick to set up for Steve Williams and Terry Gordy to win.
Yeah, well, who's going to buy a ticket to that? I'm not going to go, Dad. I got to go see the world's international tag team. Who's the sexiest champions?
You spent money for this fucking WCW show, and like the only WCW guys on it are like Dustin, Nikita, Ricky Steamboat,
and the Steiners.
You're like, I don't know who the fuck these people are.
I've been to shows with my buddy the Burrow Watcher, and we've done a lot of traveling and stuff like that. We've been to shows where like Onita would show up or Muda would show up, and I would be there as a mark with him. You know what I mean? We just go to these shows and stuff, and all of a sudden, like they do the lights out, lights on gimmick, and it's like fucking Muda, and I felt like I was like 21 again or whatever it was, and I'm grabbing Burr Watcher by his jacket, going, "Oh my fucking god, it's Muda," and I'm a dirt sheet, guy, I think it's I think it was MLW, wasn't it? Dude, Muda in the ECW arena for me was like, holy shit. And I was hoping they were going to bring Kabuki, but I don't think that was going to happen.
All right.
Is that not a happy ending for Kabuki?
I guess we'll we'll digress into this ECW show from March the 28th, 95. The opening video is 4 minutes of recap of everything going on with the three-way dance tag team match coming up.
I'm so happy.
The Public Enemy, the Public Enemy, Benoit and Malenko, and Sabu and Taz. And then it's the final showdown between Mikey Whipwreck and Jason, the sexiest man alive. Mikey versus Jason. It's supposed to be the blow-off of this feud. The rivalry they've been having for, over a year now.
Yeah, how funny was it that they actually called it the blow-off? Like,
yeah, they did. The final showdown. The final showdown,
cool, right?
Yeah. And you know what? I got to say, I didn't shit on Jason in this thing because he did his job as a heel, the little shit heel. It's fun listening to Joey, obviously, on commentary because he's always going to razz on Jason anyway.
Right.
Because Jason get all these near falls, but he's not hooking the leg. And Joey essentially says, the guy's been wrestling for 8 years and he's so dumb he won't hook the leg when he goes to pin somebody. And I know, Aaron, you said you didn't get to see it, but Chad, did you catch I don't think Jason was aiming for Mikey's high chest throat area, but he gave him a kick at one point and he almost kicked him right in the throat. He was so high up on his chest.
That's a Jason staple, man. I've got it. I mean, I think it's one of the things where it's kind of like being like a puncher. You have to know your range kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it killed you. It let you know that it hit you, but it's not like it's like you're like, yo, motherfucker. I hope I get to wrestle you next week. Kind of thing. It was like, damn. That was just Jason because Jason wasn't any good, and that's even in my notes. I wrote that. I thought Mikey looked good. I thought Mikey looked really good.
Mm-hmm.
He really did. It was great. He reminded me so much of me and all the stuff that he did because me and him, like, even when we were like closer and we talked a lot, we realized we were never like Rey Mysterio or, any of them guys that when they do like the Hurricane Ranas, they're so perfect and you can just nail them from anywhere. Like, fast forward to today, like Pentagon or Phoenix. We were never that good. So the cool thing about it, we thought the cool thing about our offense was it was so kind of sloppy because it looked more real. Sabu sometimes looks too real and it takes away from it. Like it's the crash and burn with Sabu that everybody loves. Boom. He goes over the guardrail and gets his head stuck in, you know what I mean? Somehow, on the way over there. That's what everybody loved.
It's essentially with Sabu. It's essentially, we've come here to possibly watch this man die.
Oh, of course. And then the crowd was just chanting ECW, ECW. After that, he's all sitting there turning blue. Nobody's trying to like loosen the fence thing to get his head out of there. They're just standing right in front of his face, yelling ECW, ECW. It's Sabu.
The finish in this match comes. Jason misses a top rope leg drop, and then Mikey pins him after a Hurricane Rana off the top rope. And we're going to talk about later at the end of the show. This is a good episode of the show for Mikey Whipwreck.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know specifically are they building towards Sandman yet?
I don't think so. No, we haven't got that far yet.
Are we building to him and Cactus being tag team champions yet?
No. That is coming up fairly soon. But I think this was honestly, I think they were just using this episode to put him over. I don't even know if they have a direction for it. But
all right, because he's already finished up and beat me, and then he's already finished up and he's beaten Paul Loria.
Paul Loria is essentially history at this point.
Yeah, I mean, but that's not going to happen again. So yeah, I'm actually interested because I don't remember this off the top of my head who was next for Mikey, unless it would be. I mean, I would hate to say it. I don't wish this upon anybody, Sandman, or Aaron, because it wouldn't be Dreamer.
Aaron, I know you didn't see it, But just to keep you involved in the show, any final thoughts on the rivalry between Mikey and Jay?
Well, it went too long, but it's finally over, so thank God. I hope it means less Jason in the ring, because Jason in the ring is no good. He's at least obnoxiously enough to be entertaining as a manager, but in the ring, I don't want to see him. So,
Dude, don't you think if they did a gimmick, like, I mean, my biggest problem was the fact that they didn't do enough with the angle. Like, what? Why wouldn't Jason do something stupid like cut like Mikey's hair, you know, and then have Mikey have to get his revenge and give Jason, you know, hair? Why not do that? You know, they didn't do anything far enough to make it interesting, right? It was just like looming in the background.
like they didn't do anything interesting enough to justify it going as long as it did.
No, of course they didn't. It was ridiculous. Like, you know, what he didn't do anything to his mom, his car. He didn't, like I said, he didn't shave his hair. He didn't fucking poke a hole in his water bed. I don't know what nothing happened. Why are these two hating each other so long?
The only thing
because of Peaches?
I was going to say the only thing he did was Mikey took his TV title and then Jason turned Mikey's little friend Paul on him.
Yeah,
but other than that,
that's it.
Jason should have fucked his mom or something.
Totally something. You know, he could have diddled his sister.
Mikey's like, let me show you my upbringing, where I grew up. And he walks into his mom's house.
Jason could have been the babysitter.
That would have been great. Mikey's like, I've come from a small, like, a small house, one bedroom apartment with my mom and my sister. I'll show it to you. And he comes in and Jason's porking his mom. And he's like, how do you like my?
I think if any apartment door would have opened, I think if any apartment door would have opened, it would have been Jason and Maddie. I don't know about the other one.
Oh, Mama Whipwreck. All right. We get a recap of everything that happened last week with Malenko, Taz, and etc. And then Joey does an interview with Dean Malenko, which isn't really an interview because he asks questions and Dean Malenko just stares him down pretty much. Joey, of course, as he should, acting afraid of Dean Malenko. So for what it was effective to get Malenko over, and Joey's playing his role perfectly.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, how can you fuck up standing there? Yeah, basically. Stand there. Let Joey
stand there. Stand there and breathe.
Yeah, let Joey Styles react to you. Let Joey Styles react to you standing there. That's what, you know, because Joey Styles is the one who's got to react to do it. He's trying to interview the guy, and the dude's just looking at him like, you're a fucking. And Joey Styles is like, oh, okay. This is the way it's going to be.
Then we get another recap of the stuff that went down with Ron Simmons and 911 on last week's show. And then Paulie dangerously cuts a promo on Ron Simmons. And Paulie, I've noted, is in a China Club hat on this edition of the show. Paulie in the China Club. Did you ever go to the China Club, Chad?
I just want to know. Just 100% chance. It would. You know how much money it would have cost me not only to get there, but to get in there? Fuck all that. That's not even a night's work in wrestling. That's like 2 weeks of wrestling to get into the China Club, because you got to cross like 2 other bridges, and by the time you get into like New York, the tolls cost like $35, like that kind of shit. And then we're talking a couple $100 to even get in line to potentially get in to the place, you know, kind of thing. So it's like I wasn't necessarily invited. I was invited by like a crowd of like I don't know if it was Bubba. I don't think it was Bubba, or it could have been one of the other backstage guys that was inviting everybody back there when we were in New York. And I was just like, dude, Axel didn't want to go either. Me and Axel just wanted to go home. And we were like, nah, dude, we ain't going there because we realized this is bad for business. You know, if the office is going to be there and then you're going to allow us to get draws from our pay, and we're in the China Club, this is not good. We're going to the Western Union tomorrow and getting money wired from home.
You know it's bad when you got to pay a cover charge just to drive on the road to get to the.
Dude, you ain't kidding, man. Yeah, I was not interested in that. But I noticed the hat. It was cool. It was one of the things that Paul had in his back pocket because he's done some vignettes, and he probably will do some more, which probably will do some more because he's wearing the hat. That he had like some gimmicks, like with the Shane stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was all China Club gimmick.
The next deal here, Joey talks about Too Cold Scorpio coming up on April the 8th. He is his brother. I'm sorry. He talks about Too Cold defeating Hector, as we saw footage from a couple of weeks ago. And exciting news. Joey talks about how Hector's brother Eddie is coming in on April the 8th to avenge his loss to Too Cold Scorpio. So Eddie Guerrero and Too Cold Scorpio for the April the 8th show is announced officially on this edition of the show. So we're getting Eddie Guerrero.
I thought you said it was Too Cold Scorpio's brother. That's what you said.
Too Cold Scorpio's.
Because I was looking at my notes going, it's not Too Cold Scorpio's brother.
That's Ron Simmons.
His brother Boz. Jesus.
No, it is Hector Guerrero's brother, Eddie, coming in to face Too Cold on April the 8th. And I'm excited. Eddie Guerrero in ECW. It doesn't last long, but what happens is awesome. Eddie's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. So anytime I have an excuse to watch Eddie, I'll take it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, that was good. That's always good stuff. Eddie Guerrero, you know, what can you say about Eddie Guerrero?
One of the five, would you say in the ring,
what can
like
you
bell
say?
to bell, in the ring, bell to bell, one of the five most naturally gifted pro wrestlers of all time?
Oh, naturally gifted. I mean, I guess the word you want to use, as we would say, would probably be smooth.
Yes.
That's probably what that word translates into my world. Yeah, I would say, yeah, because Eddie had the ability. He had the innate ability to, he would never. This is what, just from like me being around here and just me talking to people, like he would never shit on your idea, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I guess like anybody, unless it was completely outlandish, but he would never shit on your idea. He would let you get your shit in because he knew he was going to get his shit in, and his shit was so smooth. But you know, and like anything, there's a way that if I'm gonna let you do this to me, and you tell me that I'm trusting you to take care of me, and you screw me over, there's a way Eddie could have made some of that stuff pretty rough,
right?
For a lot of the guys, you know, that frog splash. It's not even fucking easy when it's a work. You know what I'm saying? You know, you could really polish somebody off with that frog splash.
Yeah, I was gonna say when you're up in the air and you get that torque with your body. I'm sure when you come down on somebody, even if you're working it, you're feeling pretty heavy.
And he wasn't a small guy.
There's no doubt about it.
He was stout. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't want that landing on me. Fuck that.
I wouldn't want to. So is that how you tell the guy in the locker room when he's telling you, like, so you're telling me that when you talk to Stetson in the locker room, you're gonna tell him when he wants to do the big splash gimmick, like, I don't want you to do that to me.
Yeah, fuck.
Is that what you're gonna tell him?
Yep.
Well, this next thing that we see on this show, Aaron, you're the lucky one because you missed this. This was kind of a debacle. It is what they call a Generation X gauntlet match. And it's Tommy Dreamer having to run the gauntlet of Raven's goons, who, of course, are Johnny Hotbody, Tony Stetson, and Stevie Richards. And the goons and Raven are handcuffed to the ring so that they cannot interfere in each other's deals. Stetson goes first against Tommy Dreamer. And they go outside the ring. The fans hand Tommy Dreamer like a frying pan and a fan or something to hit Stetson with.
Hang on, guys. I have breaking news. Breaking news as we speak to the world. Lisa Marie Presley just died.
Oh, I heard she was in the hospital and had a heart attack, but I didn't know.
Well,
I hadn't heard anything
heard
else.
she died. I just heard she died.
We're breaking news here on the Reliving the Extreme podcast.
Anyway, go back to what you were saying.
I wonder if in a couple of weeks people are going to be like, I saw her at a trailer park and
all right, so we can forget
with her dad and Tupac.
And she was in a car driven by Biggie.
I think Jimmy Hoffa was there.
Oh, Jimi Hendrix played the Star Spangled Banner. like Jimi Hendrix still be alive today anyway. Jesus.
She was also accompanied by the original Paul McCartney
and the Sheik.
And the Sheik. Why
Sheik.
not? Why not?
Dude, she's got to be the new guy where you insert in every picture like they used to do with Ric Flair back in the day. The Sheik with his stupid little trunks on and his headgear and his boots. Like, he's a better insert into just random people's pictures than Ric Flair was. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
And the same thing with the Randy Orton RKO out of nowhere.
RKO out of nowhere, yeah. That gimmick didn't jump the shark too soon. It was funny for.
Wasn't that an app like on your phone where you could just RKO people out of nowhere?
I think so. Yeah. God, there were so many of them. One of the best ones was when they would take like some idiot like falling in the lake or something, and then they'd put Randy Orton on the video of putting the guy in an RKO out of nowhere.
Didn't they even do one of those when Hillary's knees buckled or whatever? Didn't they have Randy like RKO?
Yeah, RKO her into her van or whatever. Yeah.
I don't know what you're watching, Aaron. What are you watching? CNBC? What are you watching? C-SPAN, the British Parliament channel.
I used to like watching that shit though. Then the guys would yell at each other.
Yeah, the British Parliament. They're like, fuck bullocks, fuck you, bullocks.
They'd be like, fuck tard, sit down.
There's no chance any of that happened. I have to watch this to believe this.
Yeah, we are here to propose law number 962-7. Fuck you, bullocks, bullshit. Yeah, they just
like you're like
RKO out of
like
nowhere.
Monty Python's Holy Grail. You're totally like Monty Python's Holy Grail.
They're like, I'd like to say the distinguished gentleman from Yorkshire is a cunt. Like, yes, like this is awesome.
Bring out your dead. Bring out your dead. I'm not dead. You will be soon.
Look at him.
Well, back to this thing with Dreamer. He winds up beating Tony Stetson. So then next he's going to face Johnny Hotbody, and I just put Hotbody's next. Hotbody loses, and then Steven Richards against Tommy, and they brawl around. Tommy winds up hitting a pile driver on Richards. But then for some nondescript reason, Terry Funk comes out and cuts Raven's handcuffs so that he can interfere in this debacle. Dreamer winds up beating Richards. My notes are non-coherent here. Dreamer winds up beating Richards, but he doesn't realize that Raven is free from his handcuffs. So Raven DDTs Dreamer on the outside, beats him in the ring with the 1-2-3, and bloodies him up. The end was fine. The end was fine with Raven and Dreamer, but the getting there was rough.
But the biggest question of the whole entire thing was, what was Terry Funk?
Right.
Is right?
Yeah.
Why was Terry? I love the idea. I completely loved the whole entire idea of this. I just didn't like the delivery. I thought it was like I just thought it was all wrong, and it's kind of like, even as we do it right now where we talk about it, I'm still trying to place the people that you should have been doing whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm trying to figure out what went so wrong with this.
That's why I was saying when I was reading my notes, and that's why I said my notes were just kind of a debacle too, just like this was. It was like you said, you know what they're going for, but the way they went about it there was something off about it.
Yeah, something must have happened, dude. You know what I mean? I don't know, because there's just no way that was the intended delivery. There's no, I don't think it could have been changed halfway through the match. Fucking Paul, seriously. Like, whatever the finish could have been, it could have been just changed halfway through, or guys could have won in the business for themselves. I don't think there was, because I never heard anything about it. Yeah, I was just completely confused, like watching it, and I kept rewinding about 30 seconds of it, like to see if I missed something. You know, what did I miss? Was there like a key spot? I said, no, I didn't miss anything.
Nope, you didn't miss
I just
anything.
don't know what the hell is going on. No.
Well, the scene pretty
Dreamer
much
being
ends with.
stretched out, though, man.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that. Dreamer being stretched out.
That was I was going to say. I have here the end is very effective because Raven has Tommy cuffed to the ropes, in kind of the crucifix position on the outside. And Tommy's covered in blood, and they come down with the stretcher, and they're going to stretcher Tommy out. For the effect on the show, on the TV show, they even do a little rundown of the card on April the 8th, to say we're doing this as Tommy Dreamer's being stretchered out of the arena. So like I said, the end result is effective. It was just goofy.
Dude, you give me some 16, 17-year-old kid scanning the TV channels whatever time this show came on, and you show me a handcuffed dude to a fucking rope and he's all bloody, I'm at least sticking around to see how he fucking got there.
Right.
That's how you fucking get. That's how you get people to watch your shit. I can tell you, one of my earliest memories of watching wrestling is I'm 50 years old. Was watching Greg Valentine break Chief Jay Strongbow's leg. Like, I've never seen anything like it when I was that young, and I was like, what the fuck? This guy's legs all poked over here, and you know what I mean? So shit like that just lasts. And Dreamer hit a gusher, man. I'm not, we documented it. I'm not a huge fan of Dreamer, but dude hit a gusher, and he did a marvelous job of, because you clearly, you've realized you put the handcuffs on the ropes, you can move them closer to you. I mean, you can't get off the ropes, but you can move them closer to you a little bit. But he just stayed there all stretched out, like he couldn't move he was crucified, like he couldn't move the fucking things. It's great job, man. I applaud it.
Sorry, it's like that though in wrestling, like Chad was saying, where first thing he saw was the broken leg thing or whatever, and violence is the thing that brings people, like it's the thing that gets people to stop and watch. And now I think that's something that's missed in wrestling now. Like, I was watching wrestling before the barbershop thing, but that was like one of my first memories. I know I'm younger than you, Ted, so it's probably not like a big deal to you, but that was like one of the first things in my childhood that I was like watching. I was like, Jesus Christ, like what the fuck? Like when Sean threw Marty through that window, it's like you didn't see shit like that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, even if somebody at my level, I can totally respect that. Like, much like going to like wrestling trivia last night, I talked to people that were 20, 25 years younger than me, and I didn't do so well at all last night. As a matter of fact, I stunk completely last night. I totally just blew it. And I talked to guys that were 25 years younger than me. We were talking about shit from, basically in their wheelhouse, the in your house era, that kind of stuff. And I was like, that's cool, man. Oh yeah, but me and Miss Jess, we got trounced. These questions were ridiculous. They wanted to know like what minute a pinfall happened between Bryan Danielson and Damian Priest on a house show in Dayton. And we were just looking at him like, what the fuck is this? So yeah, me and Miss Jess walked away with nothing last night.
Well, we the next scene we get on this show here, Todd Gordon is in the ring, and he's telling Paul Heyman that Marty Jannetty's flight was canceled and he's stranded in Orlando. Marty Jannetty was supposed to have a match. Marty Jannetty was supposed to have a match with Sabu, and they actually put a segment in with Joey talking to Marty on the phone, and Marty talks about how he's stranded in the airport in Orlando. What a great place for Marty to be stranded in Orlando.
Yeah, he wasn't stranded.
Yeah, something tells me he was stranded in Orlando for about 2 weeks.
Sugar. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you ain't kidding.
I'm stranded in this hotel, snorting coke out of a stripper's butthole. Whatever Marty Jannetty does.
Jim Neidhart's here with me. So because Mr. Jannetty is not able to be here to face Sabu tonight, Paulie dangerously sends 911 to grab an opponent for Sabu from the locker room. And what I think is quite the comical thing that happens here, 911 brings Mikey Whipwreck out to be Sabu's opponent. And it was actually really funny, Aaron. He had Mikey strapped. He tied Mikey to a dolly cart. So Mikey's tied to the dolly cart. No, like like a dolly cart, like you would move furniture with. But 911's got Mikey.
It was like the cart. They were doing the same thing they did with me. When they put me on the cart as Sabu, but they put the oh no, you gotta watch this and look at it close. It's not like it was anything to do with me, like it was a rib or anything like that. But when they put me on the dolly cart, the guy just took the chain and just wrapped it around the thing. There was no like latching thing or anything like that. It was just like the effect of it kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But when they brought him out, there wasn't anything. Like he was just on the dolly, like, and that popped me because I was laughing. Like, all you had to do was move left or right, and you can get off the, And I'm thinking, like, they're just wheeling him out. Like they were wheeling a dolly down the back way of the arena, and they saw him, and he got it right underneath his heels, and then they scooped him up. Aaron, you can relate, Walmart, you know how it is. You got to bend, and they got him up, and they were just wheeling him around. Like that's fantastic. Why did I think of that? I'm pretty lazy.
911 wheels Mikey out to the ring to be Sabu's opponent, and like I said earlier, this show bookends with two things getting Mikey over. He opened the show with Jason, and then he actually has what I thought was a really good match with Sabu.
Dude, show me a better Sabu match. I would say probably from that match right there. Give me 6 months after that. Show me a better Sabu match.
Right.
I mean, because at this point, I can't shit on him because at this point he's working for everybody, and he's working all over the world, working the greatest guy. So I really can't keep track of everybody that he's working. But I'm saying the whole scheme of things, I put that matchup on Mikey against any match that he did anytime in that time period.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Mikey was great. Mikey was great. And the best part about Mikey is that it was just like me, because he would his Frankensteiners weren't perfect. I love that about him, like all that stuff. There was the elements of the crash and burn, and that was all the same shit that happened to me that I dealt with. And it wasn't intentional. At some point I had to realize that I'm not Rey Mysterio.
Well, and my notes, especially on this match, and I don't have a lot because I was watching the match, but Mikey gets some good offense in the match with Sabu. Sabu gives him some good offense, but the gist of it is Mikey is great at being the victim of Sabu's violence.
What's wrong with that?
No, nothing at all. It was entertaining as shit.
And then who's it make at the end of the day?
Since they're both playing their role perfectly, everybody gets
exactly. You make Sabu. You keep Sabu strong, which you intend to anyway, and then you take the young guy like Mikey Whipwreck and you make him like, man, this fucking guy, you don't know when to say when. Good Lord,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you basically make everybody, and then how could that possibly detriment the business? Saying can somebody a 995 north from here figure this out? Can you get one person over? Yeah, we just had a match that got two people that we just talked about.
But overall, yes, this was a very effective match. Sabu wins with a camel clutch, and I gotta say, overall, this was a good episode of EC.
Yeah.
Like I said, the thing with Dreamer was a bit clunky, but once they got to the point was got, so that was effective. Like I said, bookending the show with Mikey, that was a good idea. But yeah, overall, decent episode of the show. I didn't get bored. I didn't roll my eyes much.
No, dude, it was. Anytime, like literally, I take any of my relationships with Taz or Sabu aside, but them guys are great, man. They were great. They were great additions to the television product, and it made people want to. I mean, they drew money. You know, if it wasn't for Sabu and Taz, what was the main event at the first review?
Right.
Wasn't it Sabu and Taz?
Sabu and Taz,
and we're still what, 2 years away?
Yeah, we're still 2 years away from that.
That was the real main event.
And we're still putting our toes in the water, right? Like with Sabu and Taz. It's like, and this is probably before Paul even knew it, right? Has to be. It's just Sabu and Taz. They look good together, and then it's eventually at one point the light bulb went off on his head. Oh my God, Sabu versus Taz. No shit, man. That's a good booker right there, man. I don't know who's going to win Booker of the Year this year. I mean, Tony Khan can. It's going to be the Tony Khan Award. If he wins this year, it's going to be the Tony Khan Award every single year. But Paul Heyman, for whatever he books for remembrance that he has for that, he's the Booker of the Year still. And that's amazing. It's 30 some years later. Good Lord.
Well, that is going to be a wrap for this week's edition of Reliving the Extreme. I want to thank everybody for joining us this week. And Aaron, any parting words for our listeners?
Not really, just you guys. Sorry for dropping the ball and forgetting to watch the show. But other than that, I want to thank everybody for listening. And big things are coming.
I'm so glad we're all a team here.
In 2023.
Aaron, stop it. No, stop it, Aaron. I'm telling you, stop it. If I had to rush home with my Uber, and I had to get up here and I had to fire up the Peacock and I had to watch 37 minutes of this crap, you could have found 37 minutes of your week to watch the same crap I did. That's not acceptable. It's not acceptable.
I'll make up for it next week.
Don't let it happen again.
It won't.
Hey, you know what? You got a point. Yeah. Don't think this Walmart thing ain't gonna haunt you. You got a point, buddy.
Thank you for joining us this week, everybody. We'll see you next time around as we continue reliving the extreme. Have a great week.